subscribe to that Vivartavadi philosophy, and that is the reason why Jiva Goswami does not want to take into account. He thinks it must be a interpolation later on additions. So Vivartavada means the world is an illusion, but there is a qualification needs to be made. It's a relative term. When we compare with the absolute, okay, then that its realness of the world is not like the realness of the absolute world. So that they are saying that this Jagan is Mithya is real, but it's not absolutely real. So what the other aspect is also there. In the moment will come. So this modified Vivartavada, like an old school version, applies only as long as the presence of both Chitta Shakti and the soul is not taken into consideration. Okay, Chitta Shakti means Yoga Maya. Okay, and soul is not taken because that is completely on a different ball game. Vivartavadis don't even accept that thing. They are talking about what they are implying is Mahamaya. Mahamaya is the one who is working with Lord external potency. Yoga Maya is Lord internal potency. Okay? And Yoga Maya generally is there for the devotees. Mahamaya is for the conditioned soul. So what Vivartavadi, when they talk about Maya, is actually what they mean is Mahamaya. Okay? So that one has to understand that. And so Maya is actually twofold, Mahamaya and Yoga Maya. Actually, Mahamaya is an expansion of Yoga Maya. Yoga Maya is the one who is originally there. From there, the Mahamaya takes place. So the Mahamaya is the for the material potency of illusion, Krishna's external potency. Yogamaya is Krishna's internal potency. So one has to be very, very careful and properly differentiate that terms. Okay. So the how do you harmonize? Now we are going to see what is wrong with Parinamvada also philosophy. Okay. But here clearly in the major aspect, Mayavadi philosophy is wrong. Okay. That Jagan Mithya is not really correct. So, so the true scholar of Vedanta, Vivartavada, the world is an illusion, and Parinamvada, the world is transformation of Vishnu, occurs in a similar way. Vivartavada is the scope of Mahamaya, whereas Parinamvada is the Yoga Maya. Because remember, Lord Vishnu we are talking about. Okay, so so there is a in a way there is a paradox here. Paradox means certain built-in contradictions are there. Okay? So Vivartavadi is based on this again the snake rope analogy that we talked about. Vivartavadi themselves point out that when they say that when when there is a dim light, how do they say dim light is compared to what? They are saying dim light is when you do not have a clear conception. I'm going slowly, okay? So you understand, catch my word, every word, okay? And they themselves are saying that the rope and the snake analogy is when there is a light is dim, right? Semi-darkness, evening, foggy weather and things like cloudy weather and things like that. And the rope is dangling, so that gives an appearance of that might be a snake, and you get scared of it. But the dim light in reality, what they're saying that dim light means then there's a jnana. When you studied Vedanta, when you get a jnana, so they work on a jnana platform. When you get a jnana, then you really understand. Okay, you really understand that there is no more. You can clearly see the rope, so you can clearly see this Vivartavada philosophy. They are saying that you have to understand from a jnana platform point of view only. So dim light means ajnana. When you get jnana, Vedanta jnana, then you can differentiate. So what they're saying is because that they're saying. So Jiva Goswami is arguing that because of that, they themselves are pointing out what is the flaw in their philosophy. First, they are saying that this Jagat is mithya, that itself is wrong, and this second aspect of it, this Jnana platform, they're talking about that. So Vivarta is based on a snake rope analogy. However, when applied with proper understanding of the analogy, proper understanding means, and they themselves are pointing out that, and Jiva Goswami is pointing out that when you properly understand, then the whole concept completely falls apart. The rope snake analogy doesn't work anymore. So, in one aspect, is a genuine theory in the sense that its realness of the world is not the same as the realness of Brahman. When there's a mithya, unreal, either you say unreal or real, both are wrong. So now we are going to look at this. So now we understand the two fundamental flaws in Vivartavada philosophy. One is they're saying that Jagat is mithya, and they literally believe that they are wrong in that. Okay, because in relative term, it's not completely unreal, not completely real. That's one aspect of it, and that the rope and the snake analogy falls apart when you get the proper knowledge of it. So now, what is the wrong with Parinamvada philosophy, the original one? Okay, the original proposed. So here, Vishnu is. So now here, there's other thing that you need to learn. You need to know about it. If you understand that, then you'll understand what I'm going to about to say. Okay, and that is actually we discussed at great length in Paramatma Sandarbha. Some of you might not be there at that time. What is the two aspect of it? We have to understand that. Okay, one is called the instrumental cause, or the ingredient cause. And I'll give you a nice analogy to bring home very clearly that you can relate to it. You have let's say, imagine there's a carpenter. Okay, everybody's with me now. There's a carpenter, and he's preparing constructing a table out of raw wood. Okay, so now you tell me who is the real cause, who is the real one. See, now you understand what is the instrument and what is the ingredient. When a carpenter is making a table, who is the instrument and who is the ingredient? Tell me.
Yeah, carpenter is the instrument. He's creating
Yes.
that.
Wonderful,
And the
wonderful.
wood is the ingredient.
Yeah, because that is just you are using as an ingredient from wood into transferring to table, right? So that you understand clearly, right? So now you'll understand here. So the Sanskrit term for the instrumental cause is a nimitta. Okay, so that's the instrument. I mean, sorry, there's a real instrument cause. Without that, without the carpenter being present, wood itself is not going to become a table. Okay, but at the same time, carpenter is not going to bring table like a magic from the air, right? He needs some material, so he needs a raw wood to make a table. So that is ingredient. Okay, so that ingredient, the cause of that in Sanskrit term is called upadana. Upadana karanam. Upadana means the ingredient, where the one who is an instrument, he is called nimitta. He becomes the instrument of it, just like the Lord, Supreme Lord, Lord Vishnu. Because devotees, we know that it's Lord Vishnu who created this material world by throwing a glance, right? In the glance, he injects the living entities along with the time potency. Okay, and what is the pradhana? Pradhana is the dormant stage of Prakriti. Okay, so that pradhana is going to be activated as soon as the living entity is injected with its karmas. The karma really turns on. The three modes of material nature becomes, because dormant, now it's going to become flux. Okay, so in that sense, what the example I give you, the carpenter and the wood turning into table, it's here Lord Vishnu. It's his external potency is working. Himself is not entering that. Okay, his external potency, Paramatma, as a super soul, he enters there, and everything gets activated. So he become an instrument in that sense. He become a nimitta, nimitta matram, right? What is the ingredient? Ingredient is this pradhana. That pradhana becomes now mahat tattva, and then this, according to Sankhya Yoga, the whole things gets moving now. All the ingredients are made, right? The false ego takes place from Mahat Tattva. 24 elements are made, five Gyanendriyas, five Karmendriyas, Pancha Mahabhuta, and the sense objects, Tanamatras, right? All these things are taking place. So these are all ingredients. So these are called, Sanskrit terms called Upadana. That is the cause. Just like wood, unless the wood is not around, the carpenter cannot do it by himself. He needs to have the wood. So that is what it's called Upadana. And the carpenter himself, the living entity, is the one who is the nimitta, instrument cause. Okay, so I just want you to understand that. There's other thing also I'm going to come apart, that also you need to understand. The soul, there are five layers called koshas. Okay, Annamaya kosh, Jivamaya kosh, Manomaya kosh, Vijnanamaya kosh, and then the Anandamaya kosh. Very, very primitive organisms like bacteria, microorganisms, they care nothing. They don't have consciousness beyond food. As long as the food is provided for the point of survival, right? So that is at the very primitive, most primitive level is the Annamaya kosh. Okay. And then progresses further, Jiva comes, life form comes, then that is called Jiva kosh. And then furthermore, third one is the Manomaya kosh, Mano Buddhi Ahankar. More advanced organisms, they have a mind that they can use, right? So that is Manomaya kosh. And then the living symptoms, that is actually the life, the soul enters. The soul is Vijnanamaya, Jnana, but more realization of that Jnana comes when the more advanced organisms like human beings, that is called Vijnanamaya kosh. But the Anandamaya kosh is only reserved by the Paramatma. Okay, so that you need to understand that. And then three kinds of Sharira: Karana Sharira, Sthula Sharira, and the uh, 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 what is
Suksham
called
Sarira.
the Sukshma
Suksham.
Sharira. Okay,
Mm.
so Karana Sharira is what? It's the ego. In Sankhya philosophy, we saw that, right? There's a
Mm.
ego, and then there's a false ego.
Mm.
In order to remain in the material world, because of the false ego, we forget that this we are pure spirit soul and not this body, physical body. That is called false ego. Right ego is that when we know that we are the pure spirit soul. So that ego is there either in the right ego or the false ego. And the figure I'll show you, then you'll understand much more. Right ego, both kind of ego, there is a consciousness is there, transmitted from the soul being there. Okay. So in a way, so the ego occurs in two aspects: chitta, achitta. Chit means living, achit means uh, not living. And how do you say this? So I think with the figure you'll understand better. So with that kind of background, let's talk about love. Okay. So this philosophy, this a dense philosophy will become little easier for you to grasp, right? So
Prabhuji,
far, are you with?
yeah,
Yeah,
Prabhuji,
please feel free to ask question.
yeah, Prabhuji, with what context we are bringing that Annamayi, Jivamayi, right, Manomai? Where the reference here? I'm
Yeah,
not getting that.
yeah.
Yeah.
In a moment, you'll clear. You'll
Okay.
understand. But I
Okay.
wanted the reason I bring it first, so
Mm.
it doesn't strike you as totally such complex terms. At least you know what they are. Okay? So now we are
Okay.
going to talk about in the context in which that is going to be discussed. Okay.
Okay.
So in this slide, now Jiva Goswami is going to point out what is the flow in Parinamvada philosophy as it existed originally. Okay. So here, Parinamvada is also the original source, is actually in Vedanta Sutra. And Vedanta Sutra is created, written, compiled by who? Srila Vyasadeva, right? The Vivartavadi philosophy also take help of Vedanta Sutra, but their interpretation from Advaita point of view. Vyasa himself was not like that, as we know from Bhagavatam, right? He's the one who was asked by his guru, Narad Muni, to recompile Bhagavatam. So he is a great devotee, Vyasadeva, So one has to understand, even though Vivartavadi claim that they are following Vedanta Sutra, but their interpretation is quite different. In fact, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he went to Banaras, when he was invited there, and they were pointing out Vedanta Sutra, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu pointed out that your interpretation of Vedanta Sutra is not exactly the way I see it. So here, Parinamvada is sourced in Vedanta Sutra. Source means it depends. Everything, whole thing is coming from Vedanta Sutra, Vyasadeva. So Vishnu is both the ingredient cause and the instrument cause. How? Now that I've explained to you, how do we understand that? We definitely understand he's the instrument cause, right? Without Lord Vishnu being there, the material world cannot come into existence. So instrument cause you understand clearly, right?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Anybody who do not agree, just let me know that. Everybody agree that
Yes,
Lord
Guru.
Vishnu
This is
is the
clear.
instrument cause.
Mm.
He's the nimitta matra karanam, nimitta karanam. But why he is also considered as an ingredient cause? Both ingredient cause is what? Pradhana.
Pradhana, yes.
But Pradhana is there is that is his external potency, right? Because Pradhana that is going to become Mahat Tattva, it's not there just out of nothing. Prakriti is eternal. Prakriti is there because of its external potency, Maya, that is coming from that. So in that regard, Pradhana is considered as his ingredient cause. Ingredient cause, just like carpenter need the wood to make a table, so Lord is the one. Prakriti came into existence because of Lord, just like the Jiva Tattvas came into existence. We are part and parcel of the Supreme. So in that regard, Pradhana is considered like an ingredient cause of Lord Vishnu. So because of a modification on account of making himself, and then another reason, you all know about what is Virata Rupa, right? Virata Purusha, Lord Vishnu is the one who is Virata Purusha. And what is Virata Purusha? It is the material world that is represented in Virata Purusha. The whole entire material world is the body of Lord Vishnu, they say, right? And that Virata Purusha is the blueprint from which Lord Brahma makes his secondary creation. So in that regard, also Lord Vishnu is ingredient cause also, because Virata Purusha is the replica or the blueprint of the material world. So now you understand in two regards, Lord Vishnu is both is his instrument cause definitely no qualm about that. But why his ingredient cause in two regards, Pradhana and also he is the Virata Purusha also. Okay. So these 2 points are clear now. Everybody's convinced. Okay, let me go
Yes, Prabhuji.
further. So that is what is indicated right here. This Virata Purusha and Pradhana. That is why it is ingredient cause. And Sanskrit term is upadana. It's called upadana karanam. Karanam is the cause. Upadana means the ingredient, but the instrument is called nimitta karanam. Just like we devotees, we always say, right, that whatever we are just the instrument of the Lord. Lord is giving us everything. That's why we are just nimitta. We are not original, right? So that regard, Lord Vishnu is the instrument cause, because without he being there, material world cannot come into existence. So Vivartavada is refuted in that way
Prabhuji,
since
Hare Krishna.
yeah,
So even Jiva is the Upadana Karana, right? We the Jivas are Upadana Karana, or the instrument
yeah,
cause. Okay.
Jiva in that regard, but Jiva is also a Satchitananda is there, right? So
Yes,
that
yes.
in that regard, but of course quantitatively not, qualitatively,
In this
because
regard, Jiva is
we
also
are also Brahman, whereas Lord is Parabrahman.
got it.
Okay, but Vivartavadi don't say that. They said the Jiva himself came from Brahman. When Brahman came under the influence of Maya, then we become Jiva Tattva. And Jiva Tattva, when he gets proper jnana, then Jiva themselves become Paramatma. That's the flaw in their philosophy.
Yes.
They don't accept Atma and Paramatma, super soul and soul, they don't accept. Same soul can become super soul when properly educated in Jnana platform. But devotees don't think that way, right?
Yes.
Jiva can never become Paramatma. Jiva came from Paramatma. So you are all devotees, so that you understand, right? So Vivartvad is refuted that way since it consists in an unreal change of existence. Brahman to the material world, they are saying that transition is there, but it's unreal. It's illusory transition. So it's synonymous with a wrongful superimposition. And the Sanskrit term is called upadhi. So this material world is an upadhi superimposed on Brahman, like seeing a snake in a rope. Okay, but Jiva Goswami pointed out, because you yourself are saying that when you get a knowledge of Vedanta, then you can differentiate. No, no, snake is no more visible now. Now they can see the rope. So Jiva Goswami is very smart. He's pointing out their own philosophy where their flow lies. So some of the Vaishnava Acharya is thinking now Jiva Goswami is driving at where we are wrong, where the original school of Parinamvadis are wrong. Because, because Parinamvadi's original thinking is that this world is real. But again, when you compare with the absolute, it's not absolute real. Real created, dissolved, again created, again dissolved. So it's a temporary, real, but only in a temporary sense. But it's not absolute real when you consider with Brahman. So some of the Vaishnava acharyas thinking that the world is real because the existence of Brahman, of course, they talk about Vishnu, and the existence of the world being the same. They say the transformation of Brahman is the world like, so it's in Sanskrit, when there's a transformation taking place, It's called vikara, Sanskrit term. Vikara means something is changing from one particular way to another way. It's called vikara. Okay. So vikara is the true transformation. But the truth is, Brahman is the one essence, ekarasa, of Sat Chit Ananda. This Sat cannot be separated from Chit and Ananda. Okay? Sat is what? The awareness of. And there's another Sat is also translated as eternity. Eternity means what? Something is there, its awareness is there. That's all. That's why it's called eternity. So that you cannot separate consciousness and awareness. They are similar. So all three aspects are there in when we talk about Brahman. So the vikara of these Vaishnavas, the original form of Parinamvadi, okay, who follow Parinamvada, is the opposite of Vivartavadis, unreal transformation versus real transformation. Okay. The old school of Parinamvada is in the scope of Upadana Karanam ingredient cause. Okay. Because Lord Vishnu is the instrument cause, but he's also an ingredient cause, that the way I explained to you, Pradhana, okay, that becomes Mahat Tattva. Okay. So that is an instrument of this coming, the material world coming into existence through from Pradhana. So Lord being there, and he throws a glance and he injects the living entities with his karmas, dormant karmas is going to be activated, and also the time potency. So then Pradhana is activated to become Mahatattva. So in that regard, without Vishnu's external potency being concerned there, he's present there, without his glance there, Pradhana automatically cannot become Mahatattva. Secondly, he provides a blueprint also in his Virata Purusha. So he's both instrument cause as well as ingredient cause. Nimitta Karanam, Upadana Karanam. So the original said that means the world is real because the world is made of Maya. So other argument is this, Vaishnav said, so Jiva Goswami is pointing out his argument, that some Vaishnav said this Parinam Vada, what it means, the world is real because the world is made of Maya. And Maya comes from the Supreme Lord. Maya is the external potency, right? So then they're saying this world is real. But that is what it is like what Jiva Goswami is pointing out. If there is a magician, right? Magician is a real person, living person. And he creates these illusions. But just because the magician is a real person, can we say that illusions are real? Illusions cannot be real. So this is saying like that Parinamvadi means that the world is real because world is made of Maya. Maya is real because Lord is potency. So this world also can be real. That's what Parinamvadi says, right? But Jiva Goswami refutes that by giving this practical example. A magician is real, but that does not make his illusions real. That's just magic. You understand this example now? This analogy? Everybody? Everybody understand this analogy?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes.
So whatever coming created by real may not
Yeah.
be the real. So that's what is there.
Yeah.
Right.
Because the original Parinam of the old school, they said that this Maya is there, Maya is God's potency. So this material world is also real. So they are defending why they think their material world is real. Because it's coming from Maya. And Maya is a Lord's potency, external potency. So this material world also must be real. Okay? But Jiva Goswami is pointing out the flaw in that by pointing out this example. magician example. Magician is a real person, but whatever his illusion is making, that cannot be real. That look like real. A woman is cut into two parts, and that's why they are wondering, wow, what a wonderful magic he's done. How he's done? What's the trick? That's what we say, right? So he's pointing out the flaw in the reality. What the Parinamvadi's original school said, that material world is real, but the realness is actually a figurative term, Vyavaharika Satya, but not the the actual when you compare it with the Bhagavan or Brahman. So both are wrong. He pointed out very clearly, convincingly. He said Vivartavadis are wrong. Wrong in the sense there are flaw in that. And same with Parinamvada, also there is a flaw in the original philosophy. So now he's going to suggest how they could be modified, revised, so that could be harmonized, so both schools can be happy. So Vishnu is the ingredient cause of the world in the sense that he is the ultimate source. He is everything coming from him. So undoubtedly he is the instrument cause. And I pointed out also how is ingredient cause also at the same time. He is both. So those who propound the old school of Parinamvada cite the analogy of yogurt and milk. So that yogurt and milk, Radha Vinod Prabhu is pointing out repeatedly, there's a flaw in that too also. That doesn't apply here exactly. Why? So yogurt is a transformation of milk, but such a comparison between the word and the absolute is not supported by scriptural statements. Okay? A scriptural comparison between the absolute and the word are like, so now another Jiva Goswami, another pointing. Now listen very carefully, because if you get distracted, you will not understand. He's again just like the magician and his illusion. How nicely he convinced us that first uh, interpretation was wrong, right? That this just because this Brahman Satyam, the material world also must be real, because it is coming from Maya. Maya being is the energy, is coming from him. So this, but on that argument, sole argument, on that basis of being real is not correct. That you already proved now, established. Now is going to prove this one. Why milk and the yogurt analogy also doesn't work here. It's like, so that's what this people who are very smart people, they always give analogies. But you're going to be careful what kind of analogy you give, right? Okay. So here the analogies should be able to explain that very clearly. There is the listener should be familiar with that. Okay. On the surface, it looks like right, but if you really think about it, it's not right. Where it's not right, that's what he's going to point out. So it's like example. He's giving a spider in the web analogy. Where does the web comes? How does the spider create the web? Is actually coming from the his own juice coming from the mouth, The web is actually, that is what it is. It's not coming from external source, anything. The uh, uh, this particular spider from its own saliva is coming from that the web is made. Okay. But that does not make the web a living thing. It's living in the sense as long as the spider is around. It's when the spider is gone, there's a dead thing. Now I'm going to give you my analogy. You have these fingernails, right? When the finger is living, the nail is there. But the nail which comes out, we cut it, right? And we don't feel anything at all. So can we say the nail is living or non-living? is living as long as it's a part of the living being is there. But once you comes out, then you cut it out, separate from it, then it's not living. Nail is not living. Web is also like that. As long as the spider is there and the saliva is continuously flowing, the web is living in that sense. But when the spider leaves the web is nothing but the dead material. It has no living symptoms, just like a fingernail. So in that regard, this milk yogurt philosophy, that analogy, it fails in that regard. What do you want to show? So everybody understood that? Are you convinced with that Jiva Goswami's analogy? What he's trying to prove? The flow in the Parinambhada philosophy?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, good. So shall I proceed now? We can take a break if
Yes.
you want.
Prabhuji, so just one question here. So
Yeah,
the
please
example,
feel free.
yeah. So the example of spider, as long as spider, the web and spider, as long as the web is connected with the spider, it has got a
Yeah.
meaning. But once
Yes.
the spider goes, the
Meaning
web
means
is dead.
it's web is like a living in that sense.
So
The
how you
saliva is
connect?
coming from
Correct.
the spider. But when
Correct.
the spider leaves, the web is not living anymore.
Yeah. So how this example relate with the Brahman and the world now? I'm just coming there.
No, that's what the Parinambhada's philosophy they're talking about. The Parinambhada philosophy that something is real. It is true, it's real,
Mhm.
but the way they are saying, old school is saying, that is what is being attacked by Jiva Goswami.
Okay, got it.
Okay, in that regard. So it is
Mhm.
like this analogy. When you are going to say this web is living or not,
Mhm.
as long as Lord Vishnu is there, material world is alive.
Yeah.
But if Vishnu is away, then material world is nothing but the dead matter. Material world is
Got
a
it.
dead matter. It has only
Mhm.
connection there once connected with the Lord. When the web is connected with the web from the spider, fingernail is connected with the finger, living finger,
Mhm.
then it's okay. But when it's cut off from that, it's a dead fingernail is nothing but the dead material,
Mhm.
non-living material. So when there's a reality of this material world, Parinambhadi says that, right? But the
Yes.
reality, the basis on which they're arguing that there is a flaw in that, what they say. It doesn't mean Jiva Goswami disagrees with that reality of the material world, but material world reality is a relative way.
Mhm. So he's bringing connection with the Lord, right? No, ultimately he's saying the
Yeah,
source. He's
ultimately, yeah.
bringing his
But
connect.
question is,
Yeah.
we are talking about again the whole thing is this appendix is all about real versus
Version, yes.
figurative real or not. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Figuratively unreal or absolutely unreal.
Mhm.
Only when you compare with the Brahman or Lord Vishnu.
Thank you,
Parinambhadi,
Prabhu.
their substratum is Lord Vishnu, Bhagavan. Vivartvadi's substratum, the basis is Brahman, impersonal Brahman, Nirguna Brahman. Parinambhadi's transformation of Saguna Brahman. So now you understand both why he says, Jiva Goswami says, both are in the original way, original form, both there are flaws in that.
Yeah. Yes, Prabhu.
Everybody's understood that. I want to make sure everybody understood that. We still have half an hour. Don't worry. Don't worry about the time.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Sanjay Prabhu,
Can you hear me?
can you speak little louder
Yeah,
so I can hear?
yeah. Is it better now? Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's much better now.
So in that the other example you gave, the magician and
Yeah.
whatever illusion he's
So
cast,
that was
so the
the
illusion
analogy
is
was used to given by the Parinamvadis.
yeah. But so in that case, Jiva Goswami is refuting that also because the illusion caused is real. But in this case, we are saying that it is not an illusion, right? So it's a bit
No, no,
unclear
no,
what
no,
is
no,
Jiva
no, no, no,
Goswami.
no, 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 no. Jiva Goswami does not disagree that world, material world is real, but it's not an absolute term. But the basis which that the Parinamvadis were arguing, the analogies they were giving, the why it is real, that's the flow is pointing out. So
Okay, okay.
first, the Parinamvadis, original school of Parinamvadi, they said is coming from Maya, but Maya is what? Is the Lord's potency, okay? And that's the real. So that means school, the material world is coming from Maya, so material world also is real. Jiva Goswami does not refute that, but saying the argument you're putting forward, there's a flaw in it. Maya belongs to the Lord, so it's real. So material world, material coming from Jiva, from Maya, so that must be also real. So he brings the point home, pointing out the magician. Magician is a real person, living person, but the illusion is making is obviously not real.
Yes, now I got it. Thank you, Prabhu.
So don't misunderstand me. Jiva Goswami does not refute. Okay, material is real. It's the same way he does not refute Vivartvadi also. Vivartvadi says Jagan Mithya, unreal. He agrees, yes, it is unreal. But unreal in what? Created, destroyed. In that regard. So both real and unreal you have to understand in a figurative way, not in absolute term. That point is bringing out by different angles of his argument. All right? I want to make sure everybody understood that.
Yes, Prabhu, understood.
Don't misunderstand me. Jiva Goswami is not saying that material world is not real or unreal, but he's pointing out the flow. How you say Jivartvadi, the way they are arguing that it's unreal, there's also flow there. By pointing out their own argument that when you get a jnana, then you don't see rope as a snake, right? The dim light is ajnana, but when you flash light of knowledge of Vedanta, then you clearly say that you don't see snake anymore. So Jagan Mithya, that's what they're pointing out that analogy, right? So that analogy refuting their own analogy. All right? Shall we go forward? Sharad Prabhu, you understood, right?
Yes,
Sharad
Prabhu.
Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, because this is very important for us to, why I'm making sure, because we are going to get more and more deeper philosophy. So by step, you need to be clear. If the previous step is not clear, the next step is going to be equally difficult. So now you understand why they need to be refined. And how do you refine it? So this is what this slide, this right hand side, I gave you, explained you right up front. So now it will become easier. Again, we'll go through the right hand side first before you go to the left hand side, okay? Because if you are not clear about the right hand side, the five koshas in the Karana Sharira, Sukshma Sharira, Stula Sharira, if that's not clear, you're not going to understand this left portion. So let's review once again the five koshas, okay? The physical body, primitive organisms, they survive. There's an Annamaya kosh. The life course, Jivamaya kosh, right? Then the Manobuddhi Ahankar, that is the Manomaya kosh, mind. And progressively the consciousness of the living entity increases proportionately. Then comes the soul. Soul is Vijnanamaya kosh. Mano, Manobuddhi Ahankar is a Jnana, Manomaya course, is the mind. When the soul enters, the soul is the Vijnanamaya Kosh. And then Paramatma, the fifth one, is the Anandamaya Kosh. Clear about that? 5 koshas. And how that's going to be connected here, we are going to see the left, okay? Now let's go to the second layer of that basic philosophy, the basic theory. The soul. The soul has the layers, outer layers, 5 sheets, the koshas that's there. The soul has that. And this, again, the same way, this is what we just talked about, right? Physical body, life force, buddhi, this mind, and so on, like that. So here also, the body comes into play, the life force is there, the mind is there, intelligence is there, and the ego. But now we are going to zero it on the ego now. These are the layers over the soul. Okay? So what is this ego? Ego is partially living consciousness, but consciousness not of its own. As long as the living organism is there, soul is there. So soul is the one who is transmitting the consciousness, this ego. Okay? There's a right ego and the wrong false ego. So this ego is considered like a karana oshana. Not oshana, karana sharira, the body. Here we are talking about the body. Why is that body is the cause? Because only when it's a false ego, then we become trapped in this material world. Karana Sharira. That is the cause of our very existence here in material world. If it, what is false ego after all? Bodily conception of life, right? When we think we are not this soul, but we are physical body, we experience pain and everything. So that is the cause of our being there in this material world. But when we have a right ego, that we are not this body, we are spirit soul, then we don't need to remain in this material world. So this Karana Sharira is this because of that ego. Okay. And the Anandamaya Sharira, only when we have the right ego, then we become part of material, spiritual, the Lord. So that Anandamaya is because of that. But quantitatively, we are atomic size compared with the Lord. Nonetheless, we do as a soul in the right ego, we are Anandamaya Kosh. So ego is described as both chit, spiritual, as well as achit, material. When is material? When is it material? When we are in false ego. Material consciousness, bodily conception of life. Because ego is infused with the consciousness of the soul. So are you clear with this right hand figure? Everybody? So this is basic, fundamentals.
Yes, Prabhu. It's very clear.
Unless you understand fundamentals, you are not going to understand the left portion. Because in the
Clear.
left portion, we are going to see the connection of these units. All right?
Yes,
So now
Prabhu.
let's go to the left first. So this Anandamaya Kosha that is made of bliss is Paramatma. Everybody agrees, right? Anandamaya is Paramatma,
Yes. Yes.
Krishna, right? And we get that Ananda because we are being part and parcel of the Lord, but in an atomic size. So we have this Anandamaya, but in a minute quantity. Because the soul is Vijnanamaya Kosh. Okay? It's not Anandamaya Kosh by itself. Independently, it's not Anandamaya Kosh. It's Vijnanamaya because it is the mind, the higher organism we are talking about, human beings we are talking about, okay? Made of transcendental consciousness, Chinmaya. A soul is the minute spark of Brahman, That is the why we have this Anandamaya Kosh, but in a minute. Basically, we are called Vijnanamaya Kosh only when we are human body, okay? Because we have this mind. Soul is a minute spark of Brahman. For this, so that's why I'm saying that this five kosha, if you are not familiar with that, you will not understand this argument. So this argument they are saying that soul being part and parcel of the supreme, we do have these qualities, but in atomic size. Okay, on our own we cannot be Anandamaya Kosh because constitutively we are Vijnanamaya Kosh. Now we are talking about a human body. Okay, a soul is a minute spark of Brahman. For this reason, the old school of Vaishnavas say the concept of Ekarasa, and we saw Ekarasa means what? One particular, okay? Only applies to the one essence of Chit and Ananda. Why is it so?
What does that exactly mean, Prabhuji?
Ekarasa is said that it's called one essence, very one essence, that we are part and parcel of the Supreme. In that regard, one rasa, right? That's what we are talking about. In that context, we are talking about that we are consciousness, soul, all these things, Sat Chit Ananda, we have because we are Ek Rasa. We came from the Supreme. That's why we are Ek Rasa. So now, Lalita Priya Mataji understood Ek Rasa, the meaning of Ek Rasa?
Yes, Prabhuji, but this statement, what it is saying, for this reason, the old school of Vaishnava says the concept of Ekrasa only applies to the one sense, one essence of Chitta and Ananda. I mean, I understood what you said, that because we are from the Paramatma, we are part and parcel of the Paramatma. So we
Yeah.
also have that Ananda Kosha or
In
Anandamaya.
a very minute atomic
Minute,
quantity.
minute
minute.
quantity, yeah. But
Yeah. So
what is their what are they trying to imply by this statement where it says, for this reason the old school of Vaishnava say the concept of Ekarasa only applies to the one essence of Chitta and Ananda, that I'm not able to understand that, Prabhuji.
okay, let's read again. A soul is a minute spark of Brahman. For this reason, the old school of Vaishnavas say the concept of Ek Rasa only applies to this one essence of Chit and Ananda. But see, that's you're right. It's difficult to understand, right? There's the old school should think like that. So Jiva was pointing out, no, that is not right. But they disregard the aforementioned text in the minor Upanishads and Vishnu Purana, citing that. Although both the soul and Paramatma are Satchitananda. Now you understand? That's what Jiva Goswami is coming to it.
Yes,
Lalita
Prabhuji.
Priya Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji.
What you are saying is you're right. Because you are a devotee, you know that. But many people don't understand that because the old school used to think like that, you know.
So Prabhuji, Prabhuji, sorry, that's only part, the Sat part was missing there. So what could be the potential argument there?
The Sat is the awareness. But where does the awareness come from? On our own, we don't have independent awareness. Soul is there, but only when it is a part and parcel of the Supreme. But if you take that away, then the whole argument falls apart. Now
Yes,
do you see the
Prabhuji.
connection?
Yes.
Now do you see the connection? So
Yeah.
Jiva Goswami is pointing out that you cannot separate that. So you need all the Sat Chit Ananda, everything is there, but in a minute quantity. But this old school, they disregarded that. And they neglected these Upanishads, which says very clearly. So although both soul and Paramatma are Satchit Ananda, the former is called Vijnanamaya, of course. The soul is only Vijnanamaya, constitutively. Okay. Basically, we are Vijnanamaya, as just I explained to you. See, unless you did not understand, if you did not understand this portion, the writing portion which I given in the fundamentals, then you will have difficulties understanding that. I told you that. Constitutively, by nature, we are just Vijnanamaya Kosh. Anandamaya Kosh is only the supreme. Okay, Paramatma is the Anandamaya Kosh. But as long as we are connected with that, we are part and parcel of it, then that Ananda comes through that. On our own, we don't have that. As we saw that right here, the five koshas, just like bacteria, microorganisms, they don't have conscious awareness. The awareness of that comes from this mano buddhi ahankar, right? Mana, mind, and the soul being there. There is so there is a soul in the microorganism. It doesn't mean there is no soul in the microorganism. All living organisms that must have a soul, but they don't have the awareness of that. Awareness is not developed to that level that they can feel it. So that's what they call Annamaya Kosh. The life force. Bacteria also is a life force, but they are not aware of it. They are not conscious of it because the mind is not there. Or if mind is there, they are not aware of it. The consciousness is not developed to that level. Only when human body is there, then this awareness comes. That's why there's soul in that human body. Remember, I told you upfront, this we are talking about the human body. Then only the soul, in that soul, is now aware. Vijnanamaya Kosh means realization of that knowledge. Knowledge is there. That's what jnana. But unless and until you realize that jnana, it cannot be called vijnana. So soul by constitutively in the human body, this is the whole body. This we are talking about whole body. Okay. So soul being there, but the consciousness of that, spiritual consciousness, that's called Vijnanamaya Kosh. But Anandamaya Kosh is only result Paramatma. And if we are connected with that, then we feel Ananda. If we are not devotee, connected with the Lord, that real Ananda is not there. That Ananda is there if I get a Rolls Royce car, if I have $1 million bank balance. But that Ananda is not, we are not talking about that Ananda. We are talking about spiritual bliss. Only when we are connected, just like spider web analogy, finger and fingernail. You follow my argument now? Lalita Priya Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji. So that means in the second paragraph, what it says is that the Paramatma is eternally blissful, but we
Yeah.
are not eternally blissful until we have the realization and we have
Yes.
the correct
Yeah.
knowledge.
And we are connected with it. We are connected with Paramatma.
Yeah. So we understand the sambandha and then we,
Yeah.
whatever we have
So
to do.
the question comes constitutively. Constitutively, we are Vijnanamaya Kosh because we have a human body. Nonetheless, we do not have that spiritual bliss on our own. So that is what we are talking here. Jiva Goswami is pointing out the old school argument does not work here. So both soul and Paramatma are Sat Chit Ananda. You cannot separate that. The former is called Vijnanamaya Kosh, and the latter one is called Anandamaya Kosh. Paramatma is Anandamaya. Krishna is supremely blissful,
Always blissful and eternally, and it's
eternally and bliss
self-manifested.
and fullness,
Fullness,
unlimited,
and for us,
unlimited bliss.
it is like an acquired
Yeah,
state.
yeah. Only when we are connected with the Lord, Krishna consciousness. So beside the quantity difference is there between these two, some say that the soul is chit abhasa. So some people are arguing that whatever little awareness we have is just a pratibimba or shadow. So that also, Jiva Goswami is not very convinced about that. Some say the soul is chit abhasa. No, we have chit. Real chit is there. Real awareness is there. At least in the human body. However, it is the soul, not Brahman, that is moved by upadhis. So now you understand this, that completely fall apart of Vivartavada philosophy. Vivartavadis said that Brahman also comes under the influence of Maya, illusion, and then becomes Jiva Tattva. But that is not true. He said it is the soul, not Brahman, that is moved by upadhis. You know, upadhi, but the superimposition, material characteristics. Brahman cannot come into material characteristics, Maya's influence. But Vivartavadi philosophy is saying that Jiva came into existence only when Brahman came under the influence of Maya. So do you see the gross ignorance of the Vivartavadi philosophers? And Jiva Goswami is pointing out that. Prabhupada in many purports you must have seen that when he explains this Mayavadi philosophy. Mayavadi says that Brahman came under the influence of Maya, which is preposterous. And then even further preposterous is saying that Jiva himself can become Paramatma then. There is no Paramatma. Jiva becomes, when the Vedanta Jnana is obtained, then he himself becomes Krishna. There is no difference between Krishna and us. Do you see the fallacy?
Yes, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, another thought.
Prabhupada in numerous purports, Prabhupada used to point out.
Yes,
Yeah,
Prabhuji.
sorry, Lalita Priya Mataji.
So when they say the old school of Vaishnavas followed that concept of ekarasa, which sampradaya that they are implying here?
No, Jiva Goswami is pointing out that their argument is not strong enough. Whatever they're saying is not wrong. They're correct. But in order to prove that the arguments they were giving, the analogy and everything, that is not correct. That is what Jiva Goswami is attacking that.
Yes,
And that's
Prabhuji.
why he's saying that this needs refinement.
Yes, Prabhuji. But who, if I may ask, who
I
are
don't know the name of the person or the original person. I don't know who.
the Vaishnava traditions who
The
followed this
original, when Parinamvada philosophy developed by the Vaishnava school, the old, that I don't know who actually was there.
Oh, I see. Okay, Prabhuji. Okay.
I don't remember now. I don't know. So Sharma, do you know that? Who was the original personality? I don't know. Because this article doesn't point out that, and I got a book that here. This Vivartavada philosophy, this Shankaracharya book here. I particularly bought this book to understand that.
Oh, yes, Prabhuji. Okay. Thank you,
This is
Prabhuji.
this is written by Advaitavada philosophy, and here he is pointing out that it was not Shankaracharya who proposed Vivartavada philosophy. Okay, this is Advaitavadi writer is pointing out that.
Oh, I see.
Prabhuji,
And he's
is
pointing
it
out Shankaracharya did believe in Ishvara Tattva.
Yes, Prabhuji, because his compositions of all songs like Jagannath Ashtakam, Bhajagovindam, everything
Yeah,
says that there is a personal God and
yeah.
you should worship only Govinda because
So
Govindam
he did
Paramulam.
believe there is a Parameshwar is there. Okay, Paramatma is there.
Yes,
Ishvara
yes.
Tattva is there. Whereas the typical Mayavadi philosophers do not even believe Ishvara Tattva. Jiva himself can become Ishvara Tattva. They say. Okay, you understand now, and see we are coming close to it now. The concept of Pancha Purusha is shown right here. We saw that.
So,
This is
Prabhu,
Pancha.
excuse me, Prabhu, I still don't get that. What did they disregard? They said they disregarded some texts. So, what was it in the text that they disregarded?
this particular aspect of it. That the right we are talking about, right? A soul is a minute spark of Brahman. For this reason, the old school of Vaishnavas say the concept of Ekrasa only applies to the one essence of Chaitananda. But you cannot separate that. But they disregard the Argavana text in the minor of Upanishads and Vishnu Purana. They are saying that. So this is
And
what we are saying in the second paragraph. That is what is given in Upanishads and everything.
okay, Prabhu, thank you.
So Panchapurusha, now you understand from here, right? So Sat Chit Ananda in the context of these five shades, now you see the connection now. All this which we are talking about. I remember I just explained to you the Vijnanamaya soul on his own, he cannot be Anandamaya Kosh. So now you see this Karana Sharira, Sukshma Sharira, and Sthula Sharira also you understood, right?
Yes,
That's
Bhai
right.
ji.
Okay, now let's. So the real meaning of Advaita Vedanta conventionally is synonym of Vivartavada. Uh, Conventionally, Advaita Vedanta is a synonym. So that's what its synonym means. What Vivartavada philosophy and Advaita Vedanta, they are both similar. Yes, Jiva Goswami is saying that. So Brahman is one, the world is mithya. However, the real meaning of it is that there is no difference between Brahman and the soul in point of nature. Both are transcendental. However, they are different in terms of quantity. So Jiva Goswami is again harping the flow in the Vivartavadic argument. Jiva Goswami is also understanding that. Jiva Goswami agrees that this material world is real. And he also agrees that material world is unreal. But the way the Vivartavadi and the Parinamvadi is explaining, arguing, that he is attacking. Both real and unreal. Material world is real, but not when compared to the absolute Brahman, absolute truth. At the same time, this material world is unreal, but only because cyclically created, cyclically destroyed. So in that regard, so Jiva Goswami is saying he seems to agree which you cannot be both ways, right? But here this is he's right in both ways. And that's what I'm hoping that you understand this argument. Why is saying agreeing with Vivartavadi this material world is unreal, but for the wrong reason that they were arguing. Unreal in the sense because it's cyclic creation, cyclic manifestation, cyclic destruction. And same way, he disagrees with the argument of Parinamvadi. But Parinamvadi said this world is real. Okay. But it's not real because it's destroyed also. Then where there's a reality comes into play. It's little difficult to enter unless you think about it well, it's difficult to understand now. I understand that. But the way it is being explained, I was trying to make sure I tried to show you from the Jiva Goswami's point of view. I understand very clearly, but I'm not sure you understand clearly based on what I just explained to you. According to my understanding, Jiva Goswami does not refute realness or unrealness.
Hare Krishna Bhai ji. Jiv Goswami has the both the views, real as well as
But
unreal.
both the views, but you have to understand right way.
Yes.
While he's agreeing with Vivartavadi, when Vivartavadi says this material world is unreal, but for the wrong reason they are arguing. He says the right reason is that it is temporarily, material world is unreal, temporarily it is destroyed. It's not permanent, it's not always there. But at the same
Yes.
time, when you talk about realness also the same argument. It's not real all the time. So to a common person, it's how they will argue, how can you be right in both ways? But here he is right in both ways. And he explained. the argument given for why material is unreal, he clearly showed the flaw in that. And so Parinamvadi, when they said the material world is real, he also showed there is a flaw in that. Why? Because this is a relative term. It's a figurative term. Vyavaharika sattva. When you talk about compare with the absolute, then this both argument falls apart. So that's what he's saying here. So in its pure form, Advaitavada is in line with Vedanta Sutra by rejecting the Mayavadi doctrine that the soul is upadhi, is an upadhi of Brahman, and that soul can become Ishvara. You understand that part of it, don't you?
Please,
Jiva
Bhaiji.
cannot become Ishvara. Ishvara is beyond time and space, that we learned from that that course that we did. Remember, recently we did that course, Yoga Sutra. They call it Vishesha Purusha. So we can never become Vishesha Purusha because we are never beyond time and space. But the Vivartavadi arguing that we can become Ishvara, just become knowledgeable in Vedanta Sutra. And Ishvara becomes Jiva when Ishvara comes into illusion. All right, what I would suggest, think about it. If I am successful in showing this Jiva Goswami argument in the right way, then you will understand if you just think about it, what I just said. Again, don't misunderstand me. Why Jiva Goswami is right here when he says material is both real and unreal. Not by the arguments Vivartavadi and Parinamvadis are saying, but the argument when you compare with the absolute truth, then material is both real and unreal. Real because it's created there by the Supreme, and unreal is destroyed cyclically. That's why. Okay, let me go.
Bhaiji, excuse me, Bhaiji. Yeah, the soul is an upadhi. What is the meaning of here?
Upadhi
Soul
means
is an-
something is superimposing that you are not. Vivartavadi is saying that this jiva tattva, it's an upadhi on Brahman, but Brahman can never be superimposed by anything. Okay, that's in that regard he's saying that.
Okay, yes, thank you, Bhaiji.
So Vedanta is both so now he's talking how to refine that, how to unify that. Okay, so Vedanta is both the modified Vivartavada and modified Parinamvada. So real Vedanta Sutra, Vyasadeva Sutra, if you understand it right, Jiva Goswami is arguing, then if you understand it right, then this modified Vivartavada and modified Pavartada, then you understand right. Hence, Vedanta is the paradoxical coexistence of both Advaita Vedanta in its purest form and Bhakti Vedanta, both at the same time. So Srila Vyasadeva was a very smart person, and no surprising, no wonder. He is the incarnation of Lord Narayana. How could he be wrong? So if you understand Vedanta Sutra rightly, that's exactly what Mahaprabhu argued with the Banaras Advaitavadis, that they were pointing out Vedanta Sutra, but Mahaprabhu pointed out that your interpretation of Vedanta Sutra is not correct. Because Vedanta Sutra is exactly saying that. So that is where Jiva Goswami is taking the clue why and how it should be modified, how it should be refined. Both philosophies must be refined. The world is made of Maya, yet it contains the transcendental energy Bhakti Shakti, which sometimes becomes manifest, and so the world is partly real from the perspective of absolute reality. In a relative terms, the harmonization of Vivartavada and Parinamvada, however, is done in one take, and that is in the Bhagavatam. There are two such instances, one in the fourth Satuslokish Bhagavatam, which is given right here. Okay? And then now he's talking about the time potency. Time is a dual nature. It is both material and transcendental potency. Now that also might be difficult for you to accept. And Jiva Goswami is explaining why time is both material and transcendental. Transcendental, see, time is special condition of Prakriti and also the power of the Lord. When Krishna says time aham, he said the time aham, I am the time, Krishna himself says. So in that regard, time is Lord's potency. So that's why it's a transcendental, it's real. But when the time comes in the material world, existence, non-existence. So then the time is temporary. So time is the instrumental cause, upadana. Yogamaya is the transcendental for the time. So still the Bhagavatam seems to support the old school Vivarta in these particular verses. See, now that he's pointing out that verses. Sharad Prabhuji, again, these verses he is pointing out that he does not agree, Jiva Goswami, because that gives the connotation of Vivartavada, the old school of Vivartavada. What has a beginning and an end is unreal. Besides this particular second part of the first verse of Bhagavatam, first canto, first chapter, first verse, Janmadhyasya to Invayat. And the second part is this Tejo Vari Bridam Yatha Vinimayo Yatha Tri Sargo Amrisha. And why it is so here? He says, we meditate on him in whom the world, the creation of the three gunas, appear to be real like mirage. The mutual interaction between the fire, water, and earth appears to be real. This is the old school Vivartavada. That's what they're saying that. But here the comparison directly expressed with the word yatha should be taken as an utpreksha, so that the key word is yatha, just like that, as if an analogy. So it's a fanciful assumption instead of an upama. So it's not a right kind of upama means it's the right analogy. No, it's not the right analogy. That's what it's saying there. So this means the unrealness of the world is like the unrealness of the seeing a snake on a rope. In a point of being unreal, the world is unreal compared to absolute truth, whereas seeing a snake instead of a rope is unreal in two ways, as compared to both the absolute truth and the world. What we are just talking about rehashing. Jiva Goswami just rehashing that. We already discussed. So Sridhar Maharaj accepts Satkaryavada, therefore he equates Sat Karya, thus the world can be called Sat Eva, that is real, and at the same time Asata also. Sat, depending on the perspective, we are hammering back and again the same issue. The three modes of material nature comprises everything in this world, from the simplest phenomena to the complex human body. We all come because we are all conditioned souls. Although this phenomena appears real, they are only a false reflection of the spiritual reality. Spiritual reality is completely different, being a superimposition of the mind upon you. So here again, what we learned about the Yoga Sutra course, it's all is about the mind. The mind takes us beyond our reality. So one has to control the mind. Everything is in the mind. Unless you understand, and through the help of the Shastra and Guru Sadhu Shastra, when you properly understand, then mind will come into control. Otherwise, mind will take you away. So mind is, the last point is bringing out the mind. So those who know the Supreme Self consider the entire material creation to be real in as much as it is non-different from the self. Just as things made of gold are indeed not to be rejected since their substance is actual gold. So gold and the ornaments, okay, the ornaments is made of gold. Transformation is taking place, right? So the world is undoubtedly non-different. So ornament is not different from gold in that sense. Material world is not different in one sense. Because we are coming from the Supreme, right? It's a creation by the Supreme. It's just like a goldsmith creates these ornaments from gold, but gold is the ingrained material which you cannot separate just because it's an ornament. Thus, the real Vedanta is the unified theory of Vedanta. So now, the final conclusion, Jiva Goswami is saying, if you understand the Vedanta Sutra of Vyasadeva in its proper sense, then that is what ought to be the harmonization step. He's giving the clue how you can harmonize of the two aspects. Paridamvada is superior due to the bliss of engendered by the means of the transcendental potency, especially during Sankirtana. See that? Now he's pointing out the bhakti process. Only through bhakti mama bijanati, then you'll understand the real nature. Because we are under the influence of Maya. That's why our mind is perplexed. It's not entering right away. You really need to work at it. Because of the absence of its transcendental potency of the modified Vivartavada, it follows that Vedanta is a paradoxical philosophy of life. There is God and there isn't God. And now this is something different. This is how the unified theory of Vedanta is practically applicable in one's day-to-day life. The concept of a paradox also applies to other areas of life. For example, a fate. Now it's a fate versus destiny. That's a perennial argument, right? Some say whatever is in our fate is going to take place. So Purushartha is of no use. But that's not completely true. Purushartha is necessary. Sometimes you can change the fate. And that's what my hypothesis comes into play. Just because you are born particular way, you don't have to live it that way. When you follow bhakti, the demons become devotee, devotee can become demon, depending upon what. Remember the Valmiki Ramayana? Who was Valmiki? Originally, Valmiki was a hunter. He used to rob people. But when he came under the influence of direction of Narad Muni, he became a great devotee and he wrote Valmiki Ramayana. So just because we are born particular way, bhakti process can change that. That's exactly my hypothesis is all about. How the body undergoes tremendous transformation just by the very act of bhakti rendered by our bodily senses. Same bodily senses puts our manobuddhi ahankar. The same manobuddhi ahankar, if we apply in the bhakti process, Sankirtan Yajna, chanting of the holy name, hearing all about the Lord, his pastimes, in the company of other devotees, you can really change dramatically yourself from one end to another end. Haribol. Sorry, I took a lot of time, but it was complex. We still have about 15 minutes, 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, Prabhuji. At the end, it was little. We'll go through the last couple of slides, but you try to explain. The question, Prabhuji, comes here. Vyasadeva, even though he is a literary incarnation, but we saw in Vedant Sutra, he bring to the level of special Purusha, but it doesn't say the special Purusha is Krishna with explicitly, right?
No, that was not Vyasa.
Okay.
It was Patanjali.
But
Because
Vyasa
Patanjali,
interpreted, right? Vyasa also interpreted saying that
no,
special
Vyasa
person.
did not interpret it. Vyasa said it right. If you go back to my course that I did,
Mm,
Vyasa did exactly. In fact, that commentary was based on Vedanta Sutra by Vyasadeva. Vyasadev's comment, he did the commentary also on the Patanjali Yoga Sutra.
mm,
Vyasadeva himself wrote. Now, Patanjali himself was a devotee actually, but he did not present it that way. But the way he is written, defined Vishwasa Purusha, it
yeah.
cannot be other. In fact, he said, he used the word Ishwar Tattva.
Yeah.
Remember, he said the Ishwar,
Mm. Yes.
that Ishwar is Vishwas Tattva. So,
Yes.
Ishwar, when he says that, clearly he was a devotee.
Mm.
He was the incarnation of Shesh Naga,
Yeah.
Sankarshana.
Yeah, Prabhuji, so a lot of things back and forth. So I'm still going to their Dvaita and Advait. That's what all things we are talking about here. So we say Adi Shankaracharya comes and he says it is a Advaita. Then we say
But Advaitavadi, when they say, Jiva Goswami is pointing out very clearly, the Advaitavada is not wrong, but you have to properly understand from Vedanta Sutra point of view. Okay?
yeah,
The Advaita version of Advaitavada that Mayavadi is following, it was not Shankaracharya. It
yeah.
was his followers. They misinterpreted it. I bought the book itself on Shankaracharya's philosophy, and I read that
Sarira. Yeah. Mm,
very clearly. Shankaracharya's viewpoint clearly point out this.
mm.
But and the name is given the person who actually twisted around Shankaracharya's philosophy. I think it's Prakashananda. Which Prakash? There are two Prakashanandas, right? Sharad Prabhuji, right? There are two Prakash.
Prakashananda Saraswati.
There's one other Prakash. So that's the one who misinterpreted Shankaracharya is then another one person. In this book, it is mentioned about Prakash Ananda, I think. Anyway, I tried my best to present it as simple as possible, but it looks like I have not been successful.
No, Prabhuji, you brought the words, meanings to that words. You try to bring separate meanings. What is mean by Sanskrit, right? Those words, I think that
Yeah.
those are very important. When we read a lot of jugglery other places, we get totally confused on that. So I think that part is there. Also, you say how the basis on which they were interpreting right or wrong was false. That was
Yes,
a really
that's
nice
the main
point.
point.
That
That's
was the
Jiva
base
Goswami
point.
pointing out. That was the
Correct.
main point.
Yeah.
Jiva Goswami, and why he's on the both sides agrees.
Yeah.
Because the argument was put forward by each of Parinamvadi and Vivartvadi, they were wrong. That's
Wrong.
what he
Yeah.
pointed out. And
Yeah.
how it is wrong, he clearly pointed out that giving the actual examples, analogies, that analogies we can understand.
Yeah. Yes. So anyway, analogies are always confusing because each analogy is a contextual. Each
Yeah,
analogy is contextual. If you lose the context, the analogy doesn't have
then it's
meaning.
gone. Yeah.
Yeah. So many times the example of Ganges is described in a many ways differently by Mayavadi as well as the devotees, right? So Mayavadi says that like you merge into ocean, so they use the Ganges for that, but devotee doesn't use
No.
it's a pure form of coming from the Lord. So same Ganges water is described both way, right?
Yes.
So it's a contextual.
You're right.
Yeah. Yeah.
In fact, one of the class just this week or past week I pointed out the analogy has to be used rightly.
Mm.
And sometimes analogy can be exaggeration also.
Mm.
So you have to be very careful to what point you can extend a particular analogy.
Yeah, Prabhuji,
Okay.
we are. Good.
Yeah, quite.
Just one point I'll just bring so many complications, because I was in India and I was just talking to so many devotees there. So they always believe that, the gods comes to, we worship the God, so that super is supersede them, right? That is what is their the philosophy. And they really confuse everybody. So that part, they come up to certain level and then drop everything, and you become a god, right? And
No,
you are saying,
no, Prabhuji, I knew right away actually when I was going to give this class that I'm not going to convince you in one class only that this philosophy is very complex, But this is somewhere you have to make a beginning, right? So the way I already explained, the way I understood it, now you have to go back and read it, then you'll understand better. Because the complex philosophy, directly, it's not going to enter in your brain. Sharad Prabhuji, it's up to you now.
Thank you, Prabhuji. It was very, very complex. And after many readings, you will be able to understand it properly and internalize. Just one point, Prabhuji, in passing, you were mentioning about Valmiki. Now, it is given in the Valmiki Ramayana. Firstly, Valmiki was a Brahmin. Secondly, he was the 10th son of the Prachetas.
Oh,
Thirdly,
really? I didn't know that. Okay.
yes,
But
yes,
what I read about the everyone, the popular story is
yes,
that he was Lutera. He used to rob people.
that is
Came
true.
into contact with Narad Muni. That's where he became Valmiki Muni.
That story is not correct. That may be some other Valmiki. And the
But Valmiki, but how can any Prachetas only had one son, that is Daksha?
no, it is given in Valmiki Ramayana. I can quote you.
And
Then
that is this story is there. I read many places that he was his life before early. That's how Narad Muni is preaching,
Yes, he
turned
was
him around.
Ratnakar Daku, no?
He was
no,
Lutera.
that is not correct because at another place, what happened in Valmiki Ramayana only, when he taught Loba and Kusha on Ramayana, and they were taken by Valmiki to to Rama to recite the Valmiki Ramayana. That time only Valmiki had introduced himself in front of Lord Rama that in my life I have not committed any sin. I am totally sinless. And there are various other reasons. So that's why that is correct. What we have heard so far, that story is not correct. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. Any other? We still have close to about 10 minutes. If not, then we can conclude the class.
Hare Krishna,
Sanjay
Prabhu.
Prabhuji.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, Prabhu. So, yeah, indeed a complex sort of
Yeah.
points that have come out.
Difficult is in one sitting is not going to enter.
Yes, yes, I agree. We'll have to do personal reading as well. But I
Yeah.
think we got a high level gist of it. If I may take your permission to summarize so that we are all on same page. So as you said, so the world being real and unreal, Jiva Goswami is explaining both the facets. Uh, he's not, he's agreeing to both. There is a contextual as a rather
But in a conditional, conditional agreement is there.
there's a contextual way to how you
Yeah.
represent that. I think the best explanation I liked is what you mentioned in the last and also in Bhagavad Gita, that it's a reflection, it's a shadow of the spiritual reality. It's not a actual reality, but it's a
Chitta avasa.
reflection of that. And then what Jiva Goswami is refuting constantly is the misunderstanding given through, like, various analogies, like how they conclude that, okay, the Brahma
Yeah.
can go into uh, illusion, and then again, or Jiva, sorry, what's that? Yeah, Brahma goes into illusion, become Jiva, but by getting the knowledge, they can become Brahma again. So by misrepresentations of the analogies, that's what is
Yes.
Goswami is attacking.
That's what Jiva Goswami pointed out how the analogies were misinterpreted.
Yes. And then he's giving us the correct way, the correct reference to those. That's what the crux of the
Yeah.
point. Then coming to the last, this you mentioned the Annamaya, Pranamaya, what is it? Annamaya, Pranamaya, Jivamaya, and the various,
Manomaya.
yeah, the layers. So that's like,
Yeah.
yeah, those are the different gradations the Jiva goes through depending on what body
Yes.
it's in. And
Yes.
the constitutional grade is of Vigyan. Mhm. And that we can get. But one thing we were all discussing is about us being connected to the Lord. As I understand, I think Archana Mataji, you also made a point over there. As I understand that we are always connected with the Lord, but because of this covering
Awareness of that. Awareness of connection.
yes, because of the covering of Maya, we have lost that awareness. So when we reinstitute that awareness is what, and then practically follow those instructions to reinstitute
But the
that.
Vivartavad is arguing that when we become knowledgeable in Vedanta Sutra, then we become Brahman. There is also far-reaching, stretching the truth.
Correct. Prabhu. Yes.
We can never become Brahman.
Yes.
I mean, Parabrahman.
Yes. Yes, Prabhu. So that's the summary. Short
Thank
rehash.
you. Thank you, Sanjay Prabhuji.
I just
Okay, let's.
like if there's something unclear, you can tell me now. But I think I got a high level gist.
At least somewhere to start. And now, if you read it, you'll probably understand better uh, the way I explained. Now,
Yes.
you have to read yourself also.
Yes.
Okay. So, Sir Prabhuji, final word.
No, thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So let's conclude the class with Nashima prayer.
Shall I?
Yes, please.
Should I chant today, Prabhu?
Go ahead.
Yes, Prabhu, please, Sanjay Prabhu, please chant.
Okay, I will take that. Thank you, Mataji.
It's a special treat for us. Sanjeev is
That's
doing.
yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Prabhuji. Yeah.
Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Praladaladarayini. Praladaladarayini. Hiranyakashipu vakshaha. Hiranyakashipu vakshaha. Shilakankanakalaye. Ito Narsimho Bharato Narsimho. Ito Narsimho Bharato Narsimho. Yato Yato Yami Tato Narsimho. Mahir Narsimho Hridaye Narsimho. Narasimhadim Sharanam Prapade. Avatara Kamalavare Nakham. Adbhuta Shringam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubringam Keshavadita Hara Hari Rupa Jai Jagdish Hare Jai Jagdish Hare Jai Jagdish Hare Jayo Nashimade 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 Jaya Nashimade Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Prahlad Maharaj Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Shri Shri Narasimha Bhagwan ki jai Prahlad Maharaj ki jai Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai ISKCON founder Srila Prabhupada ki jai all glories to assembled devotees Shri Shri Charu Prabhu and Charu Prabhu ki jai Sabhi Bhaktagan ki jai Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sanjeev Prabhuji. Thank you, Shal Prabhuji, and thank you, all the devotees. Radha Vinod Prabhuji, thank you so much. Haribol, thank you.
Thank you.
All great Shri Prabhupada. Very good.
Thank you,
So
Prabhu.
we'll
Wonderful
we'll
class.
follow the.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Nice
Thank you.
class.
Thank you.
Hare
Hari
Krishna
bol.
Prabhu.
Hari bol.
Thank you, Bhaiji. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.